Today, we've got the renowned Davonna Willis with us to give us tips and tools on how you can build a six-figure massage business this year. I can't wait to get into it. Just for anyone who is not familiar with ClinicSense or is considering ClinicSense for their business, here is the deal. We are your all-in-one practice management solution, and it is our mission to help you grow and run a successful massage therapy business. So what makes ClinicSense unique is how easy it is to use, the amazing customer support, and all the tools you have available to simplify running your business. Charting is easy, fast, customizable, HIPAA and PIPEDA compliant. Scheduling is simplified for both you and your clients. Invoicing, payments, and reporting tools help you feel confident about your finances. And the awesome marketing tools help you build and maintain really strong relationships with your clients to help you increase client retention and manage your business reputation. If you're not a customer and you're intrigued to try it out, we do offer a 14-day free trial. So again, drop us a comment in below and we'll help you get you signed up. And now I have the pleasure of introducing Davonna. She probably doesn't need much introduction to a lot of you. She's so well known. She's been in the industry for about 20 years, a practitioner, leader, entrepreneur, educator, award-winning business owner, deep breath, the owner of Blue Skies Massage Wellness Center, and 419 Education and Training. She does also offer consulting on marketing and strategy to new business enterprises. And then just a quick look at what we'll go through with Davonna today. First up, work smarter, not harder, and what that looks like for us in the massage business, attracting, retaining clients, tips on how to do that and why that's important. Collaboration and networking, we can shout this from the hilltops, how valuable it is to collaborate and network, and the importance of consistency. And we will have a Q&A session at the end. But again, if you have any questions throughout, feel free to pop them in the comment section and we'll let Davonna know. So without further ado, Davonna, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Our title for the Lunch and Learn today, Building a Six-Figure Massage Business. I know this might sound like a big mountain to climb and a lot of hard work. So I thought we'd jump straight in by tackling misconceptions that people might have around working smart and not hard in our industry. For example, like people might believe that working harder equals working smarter, taking more hours, taking more clients equals a successful business. What do you think? What is your advice? How can we tackle this mindset?
Sure. So first, I'm going to speak to the solopreneurs, right? Because there's a lot of massage therapists that work for themselves and don't have a team just yet. So for solopreneurs, it's really important to be able to balance your day out. And so what I find is that people typically, they love to do the hands-on work, but they forget to do the back office work, which is the admin, right? Which is just as important as when you're seeing your clientele. And so when I say work smarter and not harder, I mean, making sure that you have your calendar and say, okay, Mondays is my off day. I'm going to do some admin. I'm going to reach out to some clients that I haven't seen, right? If they have a program like ClinicSense, you can tell in the back end and which clients you haven't seen in a month, in 2 months. You want to, reach out to those people, send out newsletters and campaigns. Also, in regards to when you do have a space, I had a space. So when you have a space, it's easy to do a little bit more things. Like for instance, like during COVID, my background's in sports medicine and physical therapy. So I was still able to treat people in that aspect and doing corrective therapy exercise. But I was making money doing ionic foot detoxes. And that's a non-contact, service. Literally putting the water in, having them sit there for 30 minutes, charge them $40. I was making money and I really wasn't doing anything, right? And just literally having a conversation with them as they're having their foot detox, right? And also because I had a professional one, we had 2 people going on at the same time. So that's $80 in 1 hour. And all I did was, my team and I just filled the water up and let them sit down for ionic foot detox. So that's working, smarter, not harder. Also talking to a recent, colleague and friend, he has nap time. So he has a facility that he has multiple rooms. So while they're taking a nap, he could be in another room, and that's money he's making without touching them, right? He just did a great massage. They wanted to stay longer, and they'll pay extra for it. And he's doing really well in doing that. So those are just different ideas. Another thing when I'm teaching, especially like my lymphatic drainage massage class, I tell people about selling products. Like for us, we sell the brush, the dry brush, right? So we did our full lymphatic massage. And so we sell them the dry brush to help them post massage to keep up with their lymphatic system, right? And so selling a product along with the service, that's also giving bringing more income into your facility or into your bottom line, right? So you're not always having to use your hands and do the physical work. Lastly, we also used to sell essential oils. So I was a doTERRA rep, and we would sell essential oils. So when they came into the facility, we would have the oil of the day, being the aroma throughout the whole entire office. And they're like, oh, what's that? Or we would give little samples once a month to our members, because we had a membership program, right? And with the membership, they got a little sample. I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't, I really like that. So they'll actually buy a full size. So different things like that is working smarter and not harder.
And how about the back end stuff? Is there any way that you feel like you can help streamline, or tips that you can give people to do all the admin, all the stuff behind the scenes that might take up time and feels like it's so much hard work?
One of the first things I did after I started working for myself was hire a VA. I had a virtual assistant. For those who don't know what that is a virtual assistant is someone who is helping to do the work that you don't want to do yourself. So that's a budget, that's a line item, right? So looking at your numbers, say that you're seeing 15 people a week, right? And if you're seeing 15 people a week, how much do you need actually to be able to pay all your expenses for your business and also your personal life? And then whatever money is left over, then you can expense that out to hiring a VA that could work 5 to 10 hours a week for you to do some of the back end, whether it is to make those phone calls or is to do your social media posting, because I know a lot of people hate doing social media posting, and that's something that you can actually expense out. So that's why I say looking at your numbers and knowing what you need in order to survive. A lot of people are just working, but really knowing what's your bottom line, or what is your break-even point, okay? How many people do I need to see a week in order to break even? And then anything above that, that's great, or any products that I sell or any additional things, that's above and beyond, right? So knowing your numbers is important in order to be able to do more. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally makes sense. We went through, we had a talk recently about bookkeeping and how important it is to know your numbers, know what you need at the very minimum. And on top of that, you make a profit, and at the minimum what you need to do, and above that is anything extra. And how about prioritizing tasks? What's your advice to be like, okay, this is important now, that's not important now? Apart from, bookkeeping, understanding your numbers, step one. What do you think is like step two to understanding what do I need to do and what can I give to someone else to do?
Right. Okay. So what can you delegate?
Yeah, I
So,
guess.
right. So delegating. So one of my top priorities, okay, so now I'm mostly into the education world, right? But I had my wellness center for 10 years, and I built it from just being myself to a team of 5 in multiple, locations, in a cancer treatment center, and also having our own, and then just partnering with different other entities. So one of the things that I would do every day is, number one, is checking my email, right? That was a priority. So for me, checking my email, see if there was any cancellations, seeing if there was any call outs, if I, my team, if somebody, emailed me saying they couldn't make it for some reason. But I always would check my email. That was the first thing I did before I started my day. And then it depends on which day it is. Like, so Mondays was my day off. So my task consisted of checking my emails, going through my numbers, going through my software, saying, okay, so how many gaps did we have from last week of appointments that wasn't, gaps in your schedule? How can I fill that for the week of this week and going forward, right? And so that's when contacting old clients that you haven't heard. So I would have a list for my VA to call. Please call these people and check in and see, and then we had a membership. So how many members are their members is still continuing, or how many canceled? And so really doing the work in the back office, that's really important. So having a dedicated day or two of doing your back office work, scheduling your social media, that's important, because then you can have a calendar. So Meta, as they call it now, you have the business, what is it called? Business. And I look at my phone.
Meta Business Suite.
Meta Business Suite, thank you, because they changed the name. So the Meta Business Suite, you can have a calendar and it posts simultaneously, not only to your Facebook page, but also to your Instagram, right? And so scheduling that out, right? And having that go. Scheduling your newsletters. Believe it or not, people do read your newsletters. That is a mixed opportunity that a lot of massage therapists seem to not to miss and not do. Newsletters. I would literally have clients talk to me or my front desk or one of my team members about one of the articles that they read in the newsletter. Right. And it's talking to them, and it's information. People like information. So they are looking at you as a professional. And so you giving them that type of information, they're trusting you as that resource. And also believe it or not, they're forwarding that information to their friends or family members to share. And that's where the referrals and other things come into play.
I guess that takes us into attracting and retaining clients. Together with your email marketing, a big part of, I know a lot of people, emailing is still so valuable. People think, oh, everyone's on social media now, but everyone still checks their emails. It's so important to keep doing. What else would you advise people to do to really prioritize attracting new clients and retaining existing clients?
So as I was talking before, memberships, right? You have the franchises, they're big and large is because they do have a membership. Now the membership, you can build it to what the membership that I had was a month to month. So basically we did more medical massage. So we would say, give us 3 months of consistently coming, whether it's every 2 weeks, whether it's once a month, but they had to keep their membership at least for 90 days in order for us to treat them a certain way, because we did some corrective therapy exercises along with massage therapy, and we partnered those two together. So we would see them for those, and then if they keep their membership, then, because they received the treatment that they enjoyed and liked, they just kept their membership. So we had a membership for individuals, we had a membership for couples, and then we had membership for families. And during COVID, those memberships kept us going, to the point that our regular members was like, you know what, not only are we doing our membership, but we also going to prepay for a couple sessions. So they pay for packages. Oh, Davonna, because I know once everything opens back up, I know I'm going to use it because I'm super stressed, and so forth and so on. So we had our memberships and we had discount packages along with that. And those discount packages came with multiple sessions, minimally 3 sessions up to, I think we had one as big as 10 sessions, right? And so I had a client pay for a $5,000 package. That didn't even exist on my program, but because they understood the situation, they they knew me and they wanted my business to remain afloat, that's because of the relationships that I built over the years with my clientele, and with giving them little things, those little trinkets of oils and information with blogs. And we would usually, the newsletters we also would have as blogs. So not only on our website, but we would hand those information out to say, hey, just in case someone who's having issues with their rotator cuff, here's what this month blog is about, and just give it to them. It was something nice and they retain that. And little things like that is what people enjoy, and that's where the retention was. And so with my team, and I also have this currently on my 419 website, it's under like templates, under finance and budgeting. I did every month a retention spreadsheet. So based on the amount of people, new people you had come in, or your old clientele, that retention spreadsheet, and our goal was always 80%, keeping 80% of our retention, right? And also knowing when the holiday season was coming, right? So the holiday season is coming, meaning, November, December, we realize people are buying gift certificates and different things like that. So January may be a slow month. So to stop the drop in January, we would make sure that we would put them, if they scheduled an appointment in December, make sure they use that gift certificate if they bought it for themselves and or somebody else, and making sure they at least got 2 appointments in the month of January. One was for the gift certificate and another one for they had to pay, right? And so just keeping a top of, knowing your industry, knowing the time of the months that you have slumps. So January used to be a slow month, but when I started incorporating that idea into the business, we didn't have a slow January. Actually, February was a little bit slower, but we at least got over the hump. And then March, we came back up, and May was one of the strongest months. And then we kind of level out in June because people are going on vacation for, the summer, but you know your time and you know how to budget. So really knowing what to do for your clients so that they understand that you care for them, that you want the best for them, but it's like a give and take.
That's incredible advice. We do actually have a question from someone watching about holding yourself accountable on days when you're struggling to feel motivated, or if you're just exhausted. What is your advice?
Good question. So at one point in the beginning, I didn't. In the beginning, I didn't have a business coach. Towards the middle of my business, I definitely, as I grew my team. But what I did have was accountability partners, and they don't necessarily have to be in the same industry, right? So I was always a part of somebody's networking group, whether it was my local chamber of commerce or one of the business groups like BNI. You could look that up. I had an accountability partner. And so we would help keep each other accountable, whether usually we met like twice a month, and just keeping each other accountable to our goals, because we would have goals for the month and goals for the quarter.
Amazing. How did you go about finding groups that you resonated with? This perfectly takes us into the power of networking and collaborating. How did you find people that you enjoyed working with and that you collaborated with well?
So first, I would say visit every networking group in your area. So it still exists. It's called meetup.com. So Meetup, I would go on the Meetup in the beginning. So mind you, it's about 12 years ago, but still, it was still before Meetup really got big. But meetup.com, and I would look for a business. And then they had all of these Meetup locations in different parts of Phoenix, because that's where I am. Then the other thing was, as you start meeting people in these different networking groups, you're like, oh, they invite you to another networking group that they're a part of. And so you'll visit to see whether you want to be a part of it, what's the energy, people are welcoming, or they're kind of standoffish, or whatever the case may be. Typically, so then I started getting into my local chamber, and then I was with them forever, because I call it a little mafia, right? Because once you was part of the chamber people will support you, and for the most part, whatever you do, especially your referral group. And so once I found the referral group that, one, fit my time and schedule, because I did like probably 3 different times. So when I really found a one that really fit my time and schedule, I was there. And you know, and so in those referral groups, you start having what they call one-on-ones, getting to know the people in your group. So settling a time a day when you can do that. So remember, I said my Monday was my admin day, but then I had like a Wednesday, I think it was a Wednesday or Thursday, that was my networking. At least half the day I set that time for networking and my one-on-one schedule, and then the rest of the day I saw my clients. And so why is that important? Because those people are getting to know just not about your business, but about you. And so if they know about you, they'd be more apt to refer to you amongst other massage therapists that they may know in the area. Okay, so like in Phoenix, there's a lot of spas and such. And so because I had such a niche in medical, people were like, oh, yeah, absolutely. Or saw cancer patients or whatever the case may be. They were more apt to refer to me than a local massage therapist who worked at a spa, because they understood the nature of my business. And when they knew they couldn't get me, but they understood I had a team that I built that does similar work and the same work, that we're all doing the same thing. And I would get great feedback from, oh yeah, I went to Jen and she was amazing at Blue Skies. You don't have to see me. I'm only one person, and I built a team. But does
I
that
love
answer
that.
your
The power of
question?
yeah, absolutely. The power of collaboration never ceases to amaze. It's so important to like stay connected to community. Did you also find it educational for yourself, connecting with people and staying in touch with the industry and what everyone else is doing?
Oh, absolutely. And so with that power of connecting, I also, that's how I met the personal trainer. I had probably like 2 different person, probably more than that, but 2 that I really referred clients to, because the one personal trainer, his business was like, what, 5 minutes down the street from me. And so they had a special coupon code if they were referred from him. And then him and I would work a trade. So I would give him either like a 50% discount. That was just because of the amount of people who was referring to me, right? So everybody wasn't getting a 50% discount. It was the amount of people he was referring to me. And how did I know? It's because on my admin day, I would see who was coming through his referral, right? Because they would have that initial coupon code. And so also the naturopathic doctor. I had a really good relationship with the naturopathic doctor, to the point like once a quarter, he would come into my facility and do kind of like this, like a lunch and learn, you know, for my clientele. And we make sure that we were marketing on both of our newsletters and so forth. So the power of networking is really important, and knowing who's your business, who will be the best person for you to collaborate with, right? I did try a realtor at one point, but that didn't really work, right? Because the realtor sees all types of people. Yeah, that's great. But was it my niche? No, right? So the personal trainer, the naturopathic doctor, and then I met another naturopathic doctor through, how did I meet Quan? He was a sports, oh yeah, because he worked with the other naturopathic doctor. He was a sports naturopathic doctor. I didn't even know they had a niche for sports naturopath. So once he left that facility, when he was working with the other naturopath, him and I stay in contact. And I would send people, but he was further, but people still go. He would send people and I would send people to him. So it's just, once you build that relationship with someone, that's how, you know, I did build my business to be in a 6-figure business.
Amazing. We have a question from the group asking about, you mentioned building your team. So they're asking if did you start with a team with the help of a business loan, or did you self-fund? Any advice for people? Oh, that's a different one. We'll get to that one next. So any advice for how you built a team? How did you go about that? How did it start?
Good question. So it was self-funded. Everything was pretty much self-funded. So, okay, so when I first started, my son who's now 12, was an infant. And I was let go on maternity when I was on maternity leave. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just start my own business. So I sublet initially from a esthetician. She was sweet because I was coming from the sports medicine world. So I had no business concept, even though I had written a business thesis. When in real life is totally different. So so she kind of showed me the ropes, but I was in that spa setting, and slowly I realized that I'm not a spa person. So I found a wellness center that had a lot of like counselors and a chiropractor. And so I had this little, it wasn't even a 10 by 10, it was like a 10 by 7. You literally had to squeeze by in order to the door so to hit the cabinet. It was funny. Well, we all have humble beginnings, right? And so I had that 10 by 7 room. And then I realized, like, look, I can't be working like this. Plus, I'm a new mom. So actually, I was introduced to my first team member at church. And so she was an usher. My husband was an usher. And he was like, she does massage. I was like, she does. And then we just got to talking. I said, hey, how would you like, helping me out, work with me? We signed a contract, an independent independent contractor contract. And she worked Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I worked those other days. And then we flip-flop Saturdays. And so we did that. It was just her and I for probably a year and a half. And then we started getting more clients, and people wanted to do couples massage and all this stuff. And we ain't had that 10 by 7 room wasn't working. And and then I think around that time I started working because of networking. I got into the cancer treatment center. So we needed a bigger space. And so then I went into a different space. So I sublet from an acupuncturist. So she had 3 rooms, and we worked the deal that we would share. I had 1 room, and then we would share the second room, and then she had the 1 room. So it was a nice space. It had a restroom, nice waiting room, and I was in there for about 2 years. And so as I grew that, when we started getting more patients from the cancer treatment center, I was like, I need to hire. And so that's when I started looking for therapists who specialize in oncology and lymphatic. And so I wasn't doing it willy-nilly. I was doing it based off the need. I knew that if we had the people coming in, I can pay my therapist, right? And then I did go up and down for quite some time between employee and contractor. And by the end, I landed on employee because I wanted everything to be consistent. But in the beginning, I had a lot of ICs until I was able to pay that workers' comp and all that stuff that comes with having an employee. So I had the need first before I hired out.
Supply and demand. Understanding what the audience needs. We have some also curious about if you're a solo practitioner, say you work from home and you don't have access to people that you're working with to build a team or to network or to grow your clientele. What's your advice for people who are like solo practitioners and or work from home?
If you work from home, you still should network. That's how you build more clients, and your team doesn't necessarily have to be a team that works inside your facility. A team could be like, I had a personal trainer, a naturopath. Those are my extended team. And then as I grew, I also had a plastic surgery because lymphatic became bigger because of the whole plastic surgery craze around 2017, 2018 in my business. So your team doesn't necessarily have to be local inside your facility, but you do have to get out. You can't just stay in your bubble. You have to get out and network and speak to people and get to know people.
If we can quickly jump back to client retention, we have someone curious to hear details about client relations and keeping them coming back. They're asking, what does your follow-up look like? How did you stay connected without annoying clients? I know a lot of people are concerned with email bombarding or text bombarding.
Right.
What did you do?
So like ClinicSense has a follow-up system on software. I had that before I transitioned to ClinicSense. I had that with Massage Book. And so the initial was like, you know, thank you for coming in. It was like right away, thank you for coming in. You know, I hope you enjoyed your session. Click here to book. However, comma, it was our business to make sure these people booked before they left. So that also helped out with that 80% retention rate. The reason why I'm saying that before we get to like the follow-up is because basically I built it so that we built relationships. So that first 5 minutes is like, you know, tell me what's going on with you. So we had that conversation. And so as we're working or as they're doing the physical therapy portion, it's like, oh, that's one of the issues. And we would bring things to top of mind, even during the session, like, oh, you know, if they move or they wince or something, you're like, okay, that wasn't part of what you said, what was the issue, but that's something we got to come back to. So at the end of the session, I'm like, oh, so remember when I touched your rhomboids and, or I wouldn't say rhomboids, but I would say the back of your shoulder and you winced or whatever the case may be, bring that back to mind. I remember you, that wasn't one of the major issues you had, but in order for us to correct these issues, I need to see you again in 2 weeks. And, you know, the more educated you are of the body and the muscles and what you do, the more they look at you as a professional and like, oh, okay. And if they can't afford it, that's where those packages, well, we offer a discount package that'll save you about 20%, blah, 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 blah. We would try to get them out of the door pre-scheduled for the next visit. So that we see them in 2 weeks. If that didn't happen, then everybody get that initial follow-up. Can you please leave us a review? And then we had a 4-week email. Hey, Nicole, I haven't seen you in about, you know, 3-4 weeks. How's it going? You know, we were looking forward to seeing you again. And then after the 4 weeks, then it was like an 8-week and so forth and so on. So then it became like a 3-month, 6 months, 9 months, so forth. And then in between that time, remember on my admin day, I'm still going through my list of who we haven't seen in a while and then having my VAs give them a call in between. So that personal touch, oh man, I've been meaning to come back. It's just that, you know, we had a death in the family or, you know, life happened, life be lifing, right? So something happens, we get it, but to just get them back in, just sometimes a physical touch as a phone call. And, you know, whether you do it, having someone else do it, it's important. Nowadays, text messaging has become part of marketing. But I will always say a phone call is always nice to follow up.
Okay, so you still recommend a phone call first?
Mm-hmm. Yes, because you're building relationship. So I learned between my Blue Skies business and 419 is two different businesses. 419, I don't do as much phone calls as much, but we do texting. But for Blue Skies, that was part of our strategy. Our marketing strategy was phone calls was in there.
I know it's easy to feel intimidated by calling, but I remember when I sat down one day when I was working in quite a big spa and someone said, okay, we're going to need to call all these people. So I said, okay, let me do it. Dig deep. And 90% of I'd say closer to 95% of the people that answered were so happy to hear from you. Oh, you picked up the phone and you called me. So I second that. A phone call goes a long way.
Especially for this industry, because it's such an intimate industry, right? And so they really feel like you've seen them, you understand them, you care for them. Even if it's not you personally, your VA is representing your business. And then you can give the person a little thing to say, like for this person, just mention about this body part, right? And that's what soap notes is for. That's what notes are for. That's why I like ClinicSense, because their soap notes is very thorough. But those little cheap things, that makes it even more personal.
And I think this takes us quite nicely into being consistent. If you're consistent with your phone calls, consistent with your emails, consistent with treating everyone with that little personal touch. I know it goes a long way. What else has been your experience with maintaining consistency, and how do you maintain consistency when you're feeling a bit burned out, when you're feeling overwhelmed?
It goes back to having a accountability partner, having a business coach, taking time for self-care, your own personal self-care. Because when you have that anxiety and you get overwhelmed, I get it, been there, done that. I would maintain getting massage. As an instructor, majority of the students I get in front of, hardly, I want to say 70% don't get massages. Right. And so that's part of keeping your anxiety down and self-care. But you have to, if this is your business, nobody's going to do it but you. Right. And so you have to want it. It has to be a passion. You have to always go back to your whys and why you got into this field, why you do this business. And one of the things we just learned this past weekend, because I was at a ABNP school forum, we learned a technique to bring the anxiety down. It was one deep breath in, a short one, and then bringing it all out, right? And doing that a few times until you could bring yourself down. I talk about that in my lymphatic class, because part of your immune system is your lymphatic system, and deep breathing, it actually engages your lymphatic system. So that helps keep your immune system healthy. So doing those type of things, but consistency is mind over matter. It's a mindset, right? Just like massage, getting your clients in. It's a mindset thing. Being consistent is a mindset thing. You have to want it. Nobody else can want it more than you. And it's just getting a schedule and having someone hold you accountable for it. It's a running joke in my house that I have alarms for everything. I had an alarm for this. Like, I have an alarm for everything, right? And it's just as a reminder, I give myself 30 minutes, 20 minutes, just little things like that. I'll have email reminders. I'll put something on snooze so it could pop back up when I need to see it again. But it's important. You have to hold yourself accountable, because business is not for the faint at heart. Sometimes I go back like, Dad, why I did this. But then I'm like, wow, I can't believe I've been doing business for 12, almost 13 years. It's crazy, but it's hard. It's times that I wanted to get a regular 9 to 5, but I'm like, am I really hireable? So you have to love it. You have to want to do it, and finding someone to help you go through this together will be great.
I love that self-care was also part of being consistent. There's so many cliches, can't fill from an empty cup. We've got to take care of ourselves as well as our clients, as well as our business. I love that self-care came up in the consistency too. So thank you. Appreciate that.
Because they're looking at you. So what are you doing? So what are you doing to keep yourself healthy? Do you have certain issues? Because some of these clients are going to ask. I know for the lymphatic clients, because I have to give them a list of things to do. They're like, what you doing for exercise? What you doing? How much water all of that stuff. So they're looking at you because you're the professional and you're giving them advice. You have to take your own advice in some perspectives, but when it comes to business, it's definitely about mindset. It's definitely about being focused, taking that time for yourself, but also, using some of the other things with that whole work smarter, not harder. That'll help to not have as much bodies that you have to see that may burn you out, right? Using your forearms, not your thumbs, body mechanic things, different things of that nature.
And just for everyone watching, please throw your questions into the comments now. We're already almost running out of time. This went so quickly. So anyone put your questions in now, we'll try to get them. But before we wrap up, if in case there aren't any questions, Davonna, where can people find you in case they need some of your wealth of knowledge?
Sure. So 419, so the number www.4 and then spell out 19education.com. I have classes that I travel all over the country, and hopefully next year. And oh no, this year I'm going to Canada. So yeah, I'm going to go to Canada, teaching at the Canada Massage Conference. But I also have business strategies and templates. A lot of those admin things I was talking about are all on my business template. So I have a marketing template, a finance and budgeting template that I tell everyone to really get that, especially. It has one also a spreadsheet for your own personal finances, as well as one for your P&L for your business. And then that retention one is super important as well. Yeah, so that's how you find me. I have a list of all my classes that I teach as well, from sports massage, stretch, posture and balance, lymphatic, business. So yes.
Thank you so much. And if we had to tell people watching, if they're gonna remember one thing from this lunch to learn, to work smarter, not harder, make their lives a little bit easier and a little bit more successful, what would your one piece of advice be?
Know your numbers. Know your numbers.
We have heard that a few times. I feel like that should be our new slogan or something.
Sure.
Yes, to anyone watching, we'll add all Davonna's details into the chat. And any information, there we go. We've got the website link there. So if there aren't any more questions, that's it. Thank you, Davonna, so much for joining us. This was awesome. There's so many golden nuggets. Thank you so much. We appreciate you taking the time and joining us. And we'll see you around. And good luck with all of your things.
All right. Thank you for having me. Thank you, everyone, for logging in. And I'll see you soon, hopefully in a class or at the conference.
Yes. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.